Hello, welcome to this video in which I am going to show you how I made this laser cut clock face. Um, it's laser cut from card in this particular case. It's just a simple card prototype, and the idea is I'm going to show you how to do like the generic details of a clock face here, so that you can go away and you can learn from this tutorial and then make your own really cool, unique, custom clock face from different materials, perhaps. So just a few things to clarify with this clock face here. It has got a diameter of 20 centimeters or 200 millimeters, because I'm going to be working in millimeters for this CAD file. The spindle of the clock, the center of the clock here, is right in the middle of the circle, so I can see it's 10 centimeters from the edge here, so radius 10, diameter 20. If I come from the top here, you can also see that that is exactly in the middle. The actual hole in the center here has a diameter of 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter, and that's because the spindle I'm going to put in here has a little locking nut which has a diameter of 10 millimeters to hold it in place, so that'll make sure that the quartz clock mechanism that goes in the center of this is going to be secured firmly. And of course I've got the 12 hours of the clock here, and I've got minute markings. Voila. So without further ado, let's just make this disappear and let's see this happen. Now, here's my CAD file. This is in 2D design. A few things to clarify here. We've got a blue external cut here, so we configure our laser cutter to cut with blue lines. This has a diameter of 200 millimeters or 20 centimeters. We have got the central hole here for the spindle to poke through, which has a diameter of 10 millimeters, and again you can see I've got the red engraving here for the numbers and the hour and minute markings. Just notice here that there's a slight variation in this CAD file and what I actually laser cut, because this laser cut file has engravings for the numbers without an outline, so this will be a black fill the way that we configure our laser cutter, whereas in this CAD file here I've got a red outline with no fill, so this would actually laser engrave the outline of the numbers. Typical. I'm going to have to pause. Right, phone call finished. Here we go, back on the case. Right, so let's bring up a new CAD file. Let's have a look. I've got one right here. Magic. First of all, what I'm going to do, a bit strange, I'm going to bring this toolbar over here. Come on, off it goes. There we go. The only reason why I'm doing that is because when I expand these options, they come out to the left here, and because of my extended desktop, if I have it over here, they disappear off the screen. So don't worry about that. That's just me doing stuff that I have to do. Let's go to the screen refresh, redraw there. Right, I want to have a 5mm pale blue grid. That's how I always work. So I'm going to go to grid lock here. I'm going to go 5mm grid lines. Okay, pale blue. Okay, that's how I like to have my CAD files set up, at least in 2D design. Right, so I'm going to make the clock face. Now, actually, what I'm going to do to begin with here is I'm going to draw a cross, and this is going to be like a grid line cross, a center point for my clock. I've got grid lock turned on, super important, so I'm snapping to the grid. Black lines, I'm simply going to draw a little cross like that. That's my reference point for everything else to do with this clock. Now what I can do is come to the circle tool. Now remember, your circle tool is going to be on the top left over here. Hold the mouse button down. I'm going to come to not just a circle with a given center and point. I'm going to go with a radius, a fixed radius. So I'm going to release the mouse button, and I'm going to draw first of all the external profile of the clock. Now it was going to have a diameter of 200 millimeters. Radius, it's asking for the radius here, is going to be therefore 100. Click on OK, and that's going to be right there. Okay, I was going to have the small little spindle in the middle, so I have to click off the circle tool. I'm gone to the select tool, then back onto the circle tool with a given radius. This is going to be a 10mm diameter spindle hole in the middle, which is 5mm radius. Let's drop that right there, and then finally click off and back on again. And now I want to have this little internal ring here, which is going to create like a nice little border. Now I'm going to do this first of all using a circle tool, and then I'm going to do it again using the contour tool, so you see different techniques. So whereas the external profile here of the face was going to be 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters radius. This is going to be 95 millimeters radius or 190 millimeters diameter. I hope that's right. And let's drop that right there. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to show you another way, as I say, of doing that. I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to move it out the way just temporarily like this. Everything's with grid lock turned on, and I'm going to come to the contour tool, which is this one here, and I want to have a 5 millimeter contour spacing. I'll stick with a tool path contour. I can click there, and that generates exactly the same thing. Now, out of interest, what I want to do here is I'm going to select all these objects, and I want to go to Start Edit and see how they've been generated. And how interesting, they've actually all been generated the same way. So because that contour tool is working from a circle, it ends up itself being a circle. Now I find that really interesting because, let me show you why. Slight detour here. If I just make a funny polygon using the Bezier curve tool, something like that, and right click to finish. Okay, and then I'm going to use the contour tool here to do a 5 mm internal contour. Okay, that looks exactly the same. Now I come to the selection tool, I select those two polygons. It's like a kind of kidney shape, isn't it? And I click on Start Edit. Look what happens. The external Bezier curve has got a series of very clearly defined nodes and handles, and these are located where I clicked with my mouse. I clicked. Well, I clicked there first and type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I right click to finish, and then of course that now means that I can basically kind of do some deforming of this shape, to kind of create a different form here. However, when I did my contour here, in order to create that contour, the computer basically made loads of tiny little vectors. And if I zoom in on this and look at that in more detail, close up, start edit again, yeah, you can see how that's been made. Now, are these straight lines? No, there's some curves in here as well. So you can see how the contouring tool, the computer has actually made this from a series of very tiny vectors, some of which are curves defined, basically curves defined by these handles. But there you go. Slight detour. That's why I found it interesting myself to see that when I did the contour here, it actually created this contour as an actual circle rather than a series of tiny little vectors. And obviously that's because it realizes the original source is also, the external source here is a circle too. Anyway, so either will do. I think I'm going to delete my manually created circle there and stick with the contour. In this case, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I want to make now the hour and minute indicators, and this is where things get a bit more interesting, because I'm going to start using the transformation tool, and the transformation tool is this tool right here, transform. At the moment it's the move transform tool. If I hold down the mouse button, it expands out and I can see all my transformation tools that I'm going to use here, and the one I want to work with is going to be the rotate selected objects. Now this is not going to work yet, of course, because I've not actually made an object that I want to kind of duplicate to make my hour markings. And if I release the mouse now, I get an error message. It needs to say I need to select something. Okay, well, let's make that object. What am I going to make? I'm going to zoom in first, I think. I'm going to zoom in up here so I've got a bit more control. And I'm going to draw a little rectangle. So rectangle tool here, and of course at the moment I've got grid lock turned on, which is causing a problem for me, because if I want to do a thin little rectangle here, which is the kind of style that I want, it's not in line with the 12 o'clock point. This here is 12 o'clock, isn't it? If I just draw a line straight down there, that's 12 o'clock because it goes through the center of the circle, and this is off center. That's not what I want. What I really want to do is to be able to move this into the middle, so I could bodge this, which I'm not going to because I don't like bodging CAD files. That's not good. I could bodge it by kind of just guesstimating it, but no, naughty. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead, perhaps here, is turn on step lock. Let's try that. So now remember, with step lock, I've got 1 mm by 1 mm resolution. Let's go back to my rectangle tool, and now let's have a look here. I'm going to go 1, 2 millimeters to the left there, click, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to kind of click there. So that's going to give me, let's put some dimension lines in here to prove this. That's going to give me 4 millimeters width, and yes, of course, that is going to be 15 millimeters in height. Okay, well, there we are. We've proven it. Let's just get rid of. Okay, so I could do that. I'm, however, going to do it differently. Again, I'm just showing you different ways of doing this. You cherry pick. I'm going to go back to step lock and I'm going to type in a step spacing of 2.5. Why 2.5? Well, because it's half 5, which is our standard grid spacing. So it gives me basically a way now of kind of snapping to the midpoint of the grid. So now what I can do much more easily actually is just drag that in. And that's going to be 5 mil across and 15 mil in height. I'm not going to put dimension lines in. Hopefully you can see that's obvious. In fact, I tell you what, let's do it again. To make sure that it is obvious, let's actually do it again and have a look down here at the relative grid reference. Okay, I want this to say 5 millimeters in the X and it's actually going to be negative 15 in the Y because I'm going down against the Y values. So here we go. If I look at that in the bottom left, remember you're looking down here. Look, okay, it's now 5 millimeters in the X to the right, positive X, and it's 15 millimeters down, negative Y. Okay, so that's another way of making things accurate by using the absolute and the relative grid reference settings there. Okay, right, so that's got my hour indicator in place. I'm just going to load something up very quickly here. I'm going to load up the calculator because I'll need the calculator in a second. So what are we going to do here? I now need to rotate this around so I've got all my hour indicators in the clock. Let's see what I can do here. Let's select this. And remember that transformation tool, the rotational tool that I worked on before. I'm going to click that now and look, there's no error code because I'd selected my little hour indicator. Now, what angle am I going to rotate this through and how many times I've got to repeat it? Now you can actually see, yeah, I've actually configured this already. This seems to have saved from the last time I did it, bizarrely, because it should be 30 degrees with 11 repeats, but why? Okay, well, let's have a see. There are 360 degrees in a circle, and I'm going to have 12 hour indicators for 12 hours in half a day. Let's therefore divide that by 12, and I get an angular rotation for each hour marker of 30 degrees, which kind of makes sense because if you think about it, 12, 1 o'clock would be 30 degrees, 2 o'clock would be 60 degrees, and 3 o'clock would be 90, which is a right angle. Now, that's the angle of rotation. How many times do I want to repeat this? I want to repeat it 11 times. I've already got the 12 o'clock hour and I want 11 more hours. I click on OK and nothing happens because it's waiting for me to identify the center of rotation. Of course, the center of rotation is my little crosshairs here. I click and voila, that's got all of my little hour indicators. Now at this point, at this point I'm thinking, I think those hour indicators are a bit too chunky. And if that's how I feel, well, you know what, it's dead easy. I can just undo that. I could resize this and then I could reapply my rotational transformation. So I'll live with it. Yeah. Hello, undo, redo, undo, redo. I've never seen that before. The redo button's crashed. Oh well, I'll just redo it again, I think. There we go, problem solved. Make sure I've got gridlock turned on. Very strange. Okay, there we go, we've got it back. Now, let's have a look at the minutes. How are we doing on time here? Oh my goodness, it's 13 minutes already of the video. Gosh, this is going to be a long video. Persevere with me, please, folks. Let's get rid of that line there because that's going to be in the way. I want to have now a minutes indicator. I'm going to have these as little lines, so it should be a lot easier. I'm going to have a little line just that long, which is in line here with the 12 o'clock and the center of the spindle. Wonderful. Let's pick it up. Let's see. I could do this so many different ways. Let's do a transformation here. Let's do it one way, then I'll do it another way. Okay. Let me see. Calculator again, because now I'm talking about 60 minutes in an hour. So it's going to be 360 divided by 60. Okay. Well, that's going to be 6 degrees. So I want to rotate this to 6 degrees. There's 60 minutes in an hour, and I've already got 1 minute, so I want to have 59 repeats. And voila, but of course now I've got these little minute markings in the hour markings. Don't like it. So what I need to do is I need to individually delete all of these markings, which I don't really like. So actually, you know what? I'm going to undo that and I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to go back to my transform tool and I'm going to actually rotate this through 60 degrees, but only for an additional 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats, because I want to get minutes 1 to 4. Center of rotation. Oh, look at that. It's gone the other way. Yeah, because the bearings in 2D design go anti-clockwise. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, well, I'll run with that. They've gone left. Okay, now all I'm going to do is delete that minute marker, and now I've got these 4-minute markers here. That's what I now want to duplicate. So hopefully, if this does what I want it to do, fingers crossed, I can select those 4-minute markers, I can go to the transformation tool, and I'm going to treat this like I did for the hours. So I want this duplicated another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times, each time through 30 degrees. So back to my 11 repeats through 30 degrees, boom, center of rotation, voila, awesome, love it, cool. The key point I'm trying to get across here is that I don't want you to just kind of watch the video and go, oh, brain dead, now I do this, now I do that. What I want you to do is realize that there's lots of different ways you can do this, and kind of to explore yourself and try and develop your own techniques and perhaps streamline systems. That's the idea. So, have different sized hour markings, different shaped minute markings. Okay, get the idea. Right, we're almost there. 16 minutes in. Can I finish this in the next 3.5 minutes? I doubt it. I'm gonna put the numbers on. ABC, right, so text, let's put a number here. It's gonna be number 12. Let's do some settings. Okay, how high do I want this? I'm gonna have this. Oh, I think 15 is going to be too big, but I'm going to go for it. I don't think this is going to make any difference here. Okay. Okay, how about narrow? Narrow, bold, italic? Narrow, bold? Can I just have narrow? Yes, I can. Narrow, good. No, I like narrow, bold. It's going to stand out a bit more. Let's do this. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's really quite nice. However, I need to position it a bit more accurately. Now, I'm not going to worry about positioning this absolutely perfect, because I'm going to look at that later, but let's just go to step lock and let's just try and pull that across a little bit so it's a little bit more in the center. That's better. Okay, I'm going to take this, and at this point in time, I'm going to show you 2 techniques. Let's go with the transform tool here first. Same thing every hour, so there's going to be 12 hours in the day. I've already got the 12. I want the 1 through to 11. 11 repeats, 30 degrees. Click on the center and look what happens. Okay, well, I've got they're all different numbers. Very annoyingly, what I need to do now is change this to 1. Change that to I'm messing it up now. 2. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole routine, but what you can hopefully see here is that these numbers are slightly off. Okay, and I need to fix that up. Now, I've been a bit daft here because I've got to manually select all this, haven't I? I'm going to show you a little trick in a second. It's going to make my life a lot easier. I'm going to go well over 20 minutes. I know I am. Okay, I'm going to take all those. Gridlock. Super important. When I move things away here, I want to have gridlock turned on so I can snap it back onto the grid. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is just temporarily select all this, and I'm going to go edit, and I'm going to go group it all together, or Control G. And that means now that if I select those things and bring them back, okay, see, snap works perfect. If I want to select these again, rather than having to select and then select, what does select mean? That's a new word. Rather than select and then shift select, what I can do is simply drag a bounding box around this, and because all my little minute and hour markings and circles are grouped as a separate object, I don't select all the individual pieces, I just get the numbers. Brilliant, love it. Okay, let's take that to the side. I'm going to do this slightly differently. In fact, I'm going to pick up that 12 again, I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it, I'm going to put it back here, so Control C, Control V, yeah? And now I'm going to come to a different transformation tool. I'm going to come to the circular array tool. Oh, nothing's selected. Try again, shall we? Select the 12, same process, same point in the middle, and this gives all my numbers the same way around. So it's giving you like a different style. I'm liking this, this is cool. However, again, they're all 12, so what I'm going to have to do here is, select this, go to properties. I've not found an easy way of doing this. I'm sure there's an easy way, but I've not discovered it, so we'll just just blunder through like this. Okay, so what's happening here? My point now is, look, these numbers are actually kind of pulling away. I'm not happy with the position of that one, or the two, or the three is pulling away from the edge here. Let's have a look at. Yeah, I'm just not happy with it. This is not aligning properly, and I felt it was the same when I had these numbers on as well. Look, I'm at 20 minutes. I've failed. We'll keep going. I'm almost there. So what I want to do is position the numbers so that they are really located precisely. So again, what I'm going to do is pick all these up. I'm going to move them to the side, and I'm going to now create another little line, and this little line is going to be my locator point for all these numbers. So I'm going to have a tiny little line. It's going to look like that, and what I want to do here is make it so it's, in my mind, it's going to be 10 millimeters from the bottom of that hour marker. That's the key thing. The length of it's not too important, but that distance just there, 5 to 10 millimeters. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to do another rotation. So transformation tool, rotate 30 degrees 11 times around the center, and I get all these markings. Now here comes the magic. What I'm now going to do with this, I'm going to select the 12, and I'm going to turn off gridlock, and I'm going to turn on the attach tool, and I'm going to pick this up, and look, there's a little square inside or around the movement arrows, but inside the frame that defines the 12 number. And as long as I have that little square encompassing somewhere the tip, the end of that line, it will snap into position. Let me do that again here with this. The little square is going to snap it into position. So I'm purposefully putting these slightly off location, because you'll see how the attach tool snaps it in, and effectively I am making sure that these numbers are absolutely precisely located against the hour indicators. This is me being like super fussy. Let's just pick these up. Okay, I'm going to turn off the attach tool. I'm going to put gridlock back on again, and I'm going to move that back over there to just join their friends. And then let's just prove the point over here as well. So gridlock off, whoop, attach tool on, and again I can snap, I can snap, and I can snap. Okay, absolutely wonderful. There you go. So we're almost there. Don't forget, of course, that in order to engrave on our setup that we have in this institution, black fill engraves, but black lines do nothing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to shift select all those objects. I would shift select all my numbers, and then I group them together for simplicity, and then I'll move them to the side, because that would allow me, careful, look, I haven't turned off the attach tool and turned on the gridlock. So escape key on the keyboard, attach off, gridlock on, selection tool, et voila. Okay, cool. I need to take this, I need to ungroup it, I need to make this color blue, this color, in fact, actually I need to do a whole bunch of things color red there, don't I? So I'm actually going to take, I'm going to just kind of map my cursor out here. I'm going to put further across. I want to make sure my bounding box here, scroll down with the wheel mouse, my bounding box covers all of my black lines. Okay, I'm going to make sure that they are all color red, but then I need to make sure that my hole here for the cutout is going to be color blue, and my little crossheads in the middle, you know what, I could leave those red because the hole's going to be cut out, but it would just waste time on the laser cutter, so I'll put them back to black. And now I can pick these numbers up again, and of course if I had them all selected and grouped together, I could bring it in, and they would all miraculously, look, see, they're not snapping into position now. There we are, that's got it. But with all the numbers grouped together, I could just move it back in over the center of the circle, and voila. So because I've not finished all the numbers, because I don't want to delay the process any longer, yeah, it's not quite all snapping into place. Anyway, there you go. Clock's finished, ready to, oh, well, no, I've made a foolish blunder, folks. I've just realized, look, I don't want to laser engrave these lines, do I? Stupid me. They are supposed to just be guidelines. So I need to put all those back to black. In fact, you know what? I'm going to make them grey. There you are. Then they really just disappear into the background. There we are. Looking absolutely awesome. Okay, now I'm being a real fusspot. Dimension lines. Let's put a dimension line there. Let's put a dimension line there. There we are. Okay. Looks good. I'm happy. Hope you found that useful. See you next time.